Good afternoon. It is about 1:45 on Thursday, the 22nd of April. I had some really interesting thoughts about self-sovereignty in the last 12 hours or so, and why your digital voice, your decentralized voice, matters. With centralized platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you've got a certain amount of leverage in terms of how many people are following you and how much impact you can have depending on that sort of follower ratio. But with the decentralized platforms that are happening, there's kind of a desperate need for people to kind of join in these camps because they're not as niche as these centralized programs have been around for years now, like decades even. Twitter's been around for like over 10 years. So it's got a early adopter like community base, right? Whereas a lot of these other cryptos are like now realizing that they need to do marketing and onboarding and retention, and they need to have influencers or people using these platforms so that other people on centralized platforms can start to see people moving away into these platforms because they have a benefit that they don't get on centralized ones. The biggest one being incentivized for your time. And so I just wanted to give you a few little results of what the benefits are of being a voice in these decentralized places. So I put out this video yesterday, decentralized storage is finally ready to roll. And a couple of things happened because of that. First thing, obviously, I got some great support from the DTube community, from Exile and Anomi and Tipfox and DTube itself. And I'm really thankful for that. Like, I did spend quite a bit of VP on it, but I thought I did a good job with this. And like, when you make good content, you want to feel like there's a reward there, right? Or be incentivized for it. Now, I don't know what the pricing of that should be, but whenever I see like people liking it or adding like a vote onto it, I feel like I'm on the right track. But I don't always know. So when other things happen outside of DTube, that always like motivates me to keep like putting this stuff out. So I had a great little experience yesterday that I want to tell you about that happened using these decentralized platforms. Not that they don't happen on centralized platforms, but I think there's just so many other people using those things that you can get lost in all of that stuff. Whereas this is really, really niche, really, and the people who are into this stuff are into this stuff, and they know the people who are talking about it or doing really well at it. Like if I said the name Crypto Wendy, you'd probably know who that was. She's smashing it on Twitter, smashing it on TikTok. Right, so I want to tell you about the flow of what happened yesterday. So there's this great account on Twitter, Handshake Jesus, and I presume he has a lot to do with Handshake itself. But what he does is he buys decentralized domain names using Namebase and gifts them to people. So yesterday I just finished that decentralized storage is finally ready to roll, and I think I bolted this onto the end of it actually, because I'd literally just read it 10 minutes before I made a video, how to deploy a decentralized blog. And it was weird how it happened, but you get that a lot in these spaces. But I'm really interested to see the 30% of content management system owners move from centralized system to decentralized, and the big part of that is WordPress. Whatever your feelings about WordPress, I think it's clunky and bloated, and you've just got so many attack vectors because of all the plugins that potentially could fall apart if they don't get updated. People are starting to put together like ways to decentralize these things using Handshake for your domain and Seer for your storage, and then WordPress is hosted on, I can't remember the name of the cloud service, this red icon on the right hand side. But as soon as I saw this, I was like, I haven't got time to read this now, but I'm going to favorite it, and I'm going to tag it, bookmark it, and I'll look at it later. And I did that pretty much within the first minute of this being posted because it's relevant to me, right? And then what happened was I got a message from Handshake Jesus saying that he'd bought my name on the Namebase. So he gifted me my name, Phil Campbell /. So I don't know if you know about Namebase, but it's a decentralized decentralized DNS for domain names as such. And so the way you do it is you put the name and then a /. The reason why I can resolve these is that my DNS supports handshake domains. So I have a DNS tool that just resolves these. But you can just put in the name and the / and it comes up. So here's one for Namebase that they made, a very simple page. But it means that I've got Phil Campbell / now. And what it did is, one, I was buzzing because I got gifted a free domain name. But two, it also makes me look at Namebase, because now I'm looking at domains and seeing what I can buy. I originally kind of started down this road in 2010, 2011, buying and sitting on domain names and selling them after 4 or 5 years when the market conditions were right to do so. So I'm pretty pumped that I've got this, because I feel empowered now by this Handshake Jesus to A, look more into Handshake protocol, more to look into Namebase, but also to follow this person. And if there's anything that we can do together, like if there's information or groups or community stuff or video I can make, I'm going to work back and forth and help this guy out, because he's offered like the branch of friendship in a way by saying, hey, I'm gifting you this because I value like what you're doing in this space, or you bring something to this space. And he probably just loves really buying domain names. Or vote, like voting for these things. I think he got it for next to nothing. I don't know how much he actually paid for it. I should probably look into that. So then another thing happened, which was really cool, is that there was another tweet from Firebase themselves saying, watch this great video from me, sharing what led him to Web3 object storage and his experience using Firebase. And so then they tag in Skynet Labs and Storgia. So them two accounts know about it. Now, I know the Sia lot quite well. They follow me, I follow them. Like, we've done a few like cross promotions, and I really love the work they're putting out on TikTok. So it's great to get some kind of acknowledgement and likes and retweets and all that sort of stuff. And to me, it just shows you how much you can have a voice in this space, be a little node in the network, and have a little bit of impact to drive it forward. It might be that you could do a similar video to this, but for your age group, like maybe from 20 to 25 or 30 to 40. Like I'm not going to say I'm nearly 50, but I am nearly 50. So there's going to be same information for different generations are going to want different things. So I think there's a lot of value for being self-sovereign about your decentralized voice, right? So that's what I was talking about. I was talking about Firebase yesterday. So it was really cool to get a little bit of empowerment from Firebase over this. And they emailed me and asked me a few bits and pieces, and I've emailed them back because I really would like to get a terabyte package off these guys for the next year, because I want to try backing up to it and see what kind of speeds I can get, so I can do another video about evaluating the transfer speeds between this cloud and something like S3, and do some kind of real world usage of this stuff. So it's kind of weird, but that stuff propels me to look at these applications and these web apps a little bit more. So now I've got that domain manager. I've got a watch list now of other ones. I'm not going to click on it because obviously I don't want you to vote on them or auction on them. So then the next thing happened was that Uphold, I get them confused because they've got a green logo, added 3 new tokens yesterday. And the biggest one that I'm interested in is HNT, Helium. My partner is getting one of these boxes, one of these little helium miners, and it's really exciting to see this take off, because last year, probably December 2020, this was kind of small. They only had like 5,000 hotspots worldwide, and in the last 4 months that's gone up to, literally this week I think there was 25,000 at the start of this week, so we've got another 3,000 that have dropped on in the last week. I definitely think we'll see this like 100,000 hotspots by the end of the year, as long as production can keep up. I know they're backdated with this stuff, but I'm really interested in LoRaWAN and LongFi, because it makes it easy for your average person who has a router in their house, has BT broadband or whatever it is, to get into crypto, to get into blockchain, to understand that me having this piece of hardware on my windowsill with an aerial on it earns me some HNT if I provide a relay for things that are happening in the area, which then opens up a proof of conversation, right? If we talk about proof of work or proof of stake, then you might lose people a little bit in that stuff, and you're expecting a lot of people to deep dive that stuff, right? They have to be interested in it enough to go and read a white paper or go through it and see the benefits of it. But I really like the proof of coverage idea that they're doing, because it's simple. Proof of coverage tries to verify on an ongoing basis that hotspots are honestly representing their location and the wireless network coverage they are creating from that location. Dead simple. Everybody can understand that. So when Helium was around in December time, it was about $2 or $3. and now it's $13. Now, bear in mind that, of course, there's going to be halving going on, so that's going to affect the price for people. I mean, people who already have it and sitting on it, they're probably going to do quite well out of it. But the biggest thing for me is not just the price going up and down and making your investment back on the hardware. It's the fact that we might have 100,000 of these units across different countries. And then you kind of start to have this like LoRaWAN, lo-fi kind of network that's sitting there. And even if Helium dies off or something happens to the blockchain or the project falters in some way, we have these boxes out there that we can spin up projects and maybe come up with an installer to install on that hardware and reuse the hardware for another project. I think getting from centralized to decentralized this way, I think, is the smartest way out of everything there is in terms of onboarding people from centralized to decentralized, because it's something that people can identify with and easily use, plug in, use an app, add the details in, see something going up and down. Maybe they'll buy one for their local pub, maybe they'll have one for their neighbors. You have like a 10-kilometer radius, obviously depending on the indoor or if you mount an external aerial, but you can get to quite a lot of area within 10 kilometers. So there's a lot of people, nodes and things that you can connect up. Then what gets interesting for me is that we can start to demystify data, right? So if, for instance, you run and I've just had a conversation for an hour on Zoom this morning with a client, and they're very interested in using blockchain in some kind of way to assist and help the environment. So I'm not going to go into too much detail of what they're thinking of, but the idea of having IoT, Internet of Things sensors that run on LoRaWAN and are nodes in this network then opens up that conversation about data, where it's going, where it's coming from, how much power these units use. I think they use like 15 watts if they're running 24 hours a day. In the UK, that works out about £165 a year, I think. So relatively low power, a lot more fuel, a lot more power efficient than something like Bitcoin, for instance. So I feel like things like this leapfrog conversations about blockchain, where we go from centralized to decentralized, and people don't notice because they're already using boxes like this in their front rooms. So I feel like these are the exciting projects to get behind, because LoRaWAN is a hardware technology looking for a problem, right? It's a solution looking for a problem. I feel like it probably came out the need to, some nerdy geek wanted to make some highly optimized long range low power unit, and actually it's a really, really cool idea. And the more nodes that you can have that are kind of in the relays, we can have this what's being touted as the people's network, and then you can build projects on that. Imagine having a project at a local village or school that is doing some kind of monitoring of I don't know, some like outdoor area or environmental stuff, and being able to invest in the upkeep of an area. I think this, combined with microgrids and energy production, and things like I think it's called Nextdoor or something like that, where you can see and operate with people in the street where you live. I think we're going to end up with these little micro economies, right, that you can stake into, invest into. Like, I want to be able to trade my token of training you how to do live streaming into maybe some electrical work or some plumbing work, and I can swap those tokens without physically exchanging money. That stuff excites the shit out of me. So I think the point of what I was trying to get across today was that you have the ability to have a voice in this space if you just get that content out. So if you've been like sitting there and wanting to make video and you're worried about it being taken apart or overanalyzed or questioned, that's going to happen anyway, right? There's always going to be somebody who wants to tell you how it should be. Things can come from the weirdest places, but you have to have your own voice. You have to be like self-sovereign about what you believe in and where it's going to and how it affects your life. I feel like we don't do enough talking about this stuff. We don't educate enough people as to what this means to us, right? It's not just like, oh, I've got $1,000, I'll invest it on this and hope for the best. I actually hope a lot of these hardware ideas find the projects so that the technology can be fully utilized, because it is more efficient than stuff that's already out there. It's not like some Amazon distribution where something's going up the country and down the country and across and somewhere else just because that's the only way they've got it into their waypoint system, when it's really actually damaging to the environment. I feel like you can have a similar conversation on those levels when you have a community, a worldwide community project like this, like Mesh, like LoRaWAN, like the People's Network, that look at things in a different way. Because then we start to question what it is as people on a daily basis we have to do to offset our production. Yeah, I'm not sure where I was going with it at the end there, but I was really empowered by people yesterday from the decentralized web, and I just wanted to make sure that other people who are thinking about doing it or thinking about making videos, just make them. Right, everything seems to go out of date after like 24-48 hours anyway these days, because there's just so much stuff. So don't hold back, just like make your videos, get them out there, and who knows who will come out of the ether and start a conversation with you. All right, I'll catch you soon. Take care. Bye.